The Haiba Mystery, Part 1. Scene 1. Alleyway. A grimy, filth-ridden alleyway. Puddles are splayed out all over the cracked ground, rain splattering against the earth in a miserable fashion. A few cubs are standing in a circle, close to the center, overlooking something. Their bodies obscure what it is, however. A few other lions and lionesses are scattered around the alleyway. A man, wearing a long beige trench coat and a fedora hat, walks over one of the puddles, causing the water to slosh around on the dirty concrete. He pushes past several of the lions and lionesses, confronting a golden-furred cub standing just outside the hushed circle of onlookers.
What the hell are you doing here? You've got some nerve to show your face around town again.
The man stares down at the cub, his eyes hidden behind a pair of black sunglasses. He slowly removes them, revealing blue eyes. Am I that ugly? You need to get a sense of humor, Simba.
Detective, that person you might know. I thought they fired you from the first for being drunk and disorderly.
That was Detective, that person you probably don't know. They get the two confused quite often. Now, tell me what's going on around here.
Why do you care? This isn't your case.
It's my case when I say it's my case. Tell me what's happening. Simba rolls his eyes, casting a glance at the circle of cubs.
Murder. They just stabbed him right through the chest. Didn't leave a weapon. We won't know what it is until the forensics team come back with a report.
That'll be about 9 years then. It's not as simple as it looks on TV. He narrows his eyes in curiosity. So who is it?
I don't know. Some guy. I've never met him. You take a look.
That person you might know strides over to the circle of cubs. Out of the way! He shoves two of them aside with ease, allowing him access to the body in the center. What the? A cub is lying in the center, brown-furred with blue eyes. There is a gaping wound in his chest, smothered with dry blood. He has been dead for quite some time. That person you might know looks on with wide eyes. Simba joins him by his side, looking at the body.
You recognize him?
You could say that. It's Haiba. The Haiba Mystery, Part 2. Scene 1. Alleyway. That person you might know is leaning against the wall, contemplating on what he has just seen. Simba is standing beside him, watching with a curious expression.
See, you do know him.
That person you might know nods. He was very close to me. We had a relationship. Simba arches an eyebrow at this. That person you might know scowls. Not in that way, you idiot. I just mean we had a close friendship.
But why? Just who is this Haiba guy?
I was there when he was born. Even then he always seemed quite strange.
Strange? In what way?
That person you might know takes a deep breath, looking down at the cub. He was in love with everything.
Everything? What, you mean even?
Yes, everything. Tables, teacups, chairs, you name it. He was in love with just about anything you can touch, and the stuff you can't touch either. He once tried to form a relationship with thin air, for example.
How would that even work?
That person you might know shrugs. I don't know. He said that it took his breath away. Literally, I imagine. Despite being in love with everyone, that love was hardly reciprocated. Simba grins.
So the table rejected him?
Don't laugh about it. He was a friend. He almost felt like, well, a brother in some respects.
You don't sound too upset about it.
I am on the inside. Personally, I never was one for crying and sobbing into the late hours of the night. Most of the sadness is internal. That person you might know scratches the back of his neck, shaking some of the rain from his hair. The downpour is slowly beginning to weaken. Only a few light droplets are hitting the ground now.
So what are you going to do now?
I'm gonna check the body first of all. Then maybe I can interrogate a few suspects and find out some more information.
Who do you think did it?
Someone with a grudge against him. It has to be. No one will kill someone like Haiba just for the sake of it. He's far too cheesy. It acts like a barrier of protection. It shields him, keeps him safe. This has come as quite a surprise to me.
So someone broke the first field of cheesiness?
Simba is smiling, particularly enjoying this.
This is cheddar than I thought.
That's enough of those puns. They're not punny enough. Now, come on. I want to take a closer look at what happened. 5 minutes later. The alleyway is now almost deserted, save for that person you might know, Simba, and a few other lions scattered around the place. The man and the cub are standing over Haiba's dead body. That person you might know is examining it closely. Looks like he's been stabbed right through the chest.
That's what I said, genius.
Odd stab wound, though. Doesn't look like it's from any kind of knife I've ever seen. Can't even tell whether he was stabbed from the front or behind. It's a clean perforation.
That's what's confusing. This took longer than expected. I thought I'd be home with the wife right about now.
What's she cooking?
Cheesy pasta.
That person you might know grimaces. I think I've had enough of cheese for one day.
So, what do you think? Any clues?
Not as such. I can think of a few people who might kill their victims via stabbings, but I can't pin down a specific suspect. Looks like I'll have to do things the old-fashioned way.
Use a computer to track them down? Our software is highly effective, you know.
I was thinking more along the lines of shoot first, ask questions later. It's sexier that way.
You're an idiot.
And you're a bigger idiot. Anyway, I think I'll go and interrogate my first suspect. Plus I need a drink. This has been a long night.
You want me to come?
Nah, I'll be alright. I prefer to do things by myself. Simba watches as that person you might know trudges off down the alleyway, his hands thrust deep into the pockets of his trench coat.
Good luck.
Scene 2. Bar. An old-fashioned bar. The atmosphere is rather quaint. A few lions and lionesses are scattered around the various tables, sipping from their drinks and speaking in hushed conversation. That person you might know enters through the saloon-type door, quietly approaching the bar. He sits down on one of the wooden stools. The barman, a lion called Bora, pops up from underneath the opposite side. He's polishing a glass with a cloth. Hey there, what can I get you? Pint of your best, please. Pint of my best what? Milk. Milk? Chocolate milk. I'm feeling brave tonight. Bora shoots him a confused glance. Whatever you say, man. Bora goes off to get the drink. Meanwhile, that person you might know shoots an aside glance at the far side of the bar. He can see a long table. Sitting at the end of it is the Interceptor, surrounded by a few shady characters, including a lion with a long magic staff and one with a scar running down his left eye, while he sips from an ugly-looking orangey mixture in a glass. The Interceptor. Bora returns with a pint glass filled with chocolate milk, placing it down on the bar. Here's your milk. That person you might know sips from the glass, sighing in relaxation. Now that's what I call a drink. Bora wanders off, muttering to himself. Weirdo. That person you might know picks up his glass and wanders over to the table where the Interceptor is. He stares into the lion's eyes. Interceptor. The Interceptor nods, acknowledging him. That person you might know! Ah, like it! Haven't seen you in a while! I was out of town. That person you might know sits down at the opposite end of the table, ignoring the odd stares he's getting from the Interceptor's comrades. You should have stayed away, especially after you put me in that prison for 2 years, and you have the nerve to approach me again. You know how dangerous I am. You went to prison for parking tickets. You're not dangerous in the least. The Interceptor suddenly looks embarrassed, avoiding the stares from his friends. Shut up! You still shouldn't have come here! That person you might know glances at the Interceptor's glass. What are you drinking? Vodka? Urine? Liquidized sausage! Nothing else beats it. That person you might know pulls a face, disgusted. I can see why I avoid these places. This is a man's drink anyway. The lion with the staff pipes up. Yeah, what the hell are you drinking? That person you might know responds with nothing but compliments. Chocolate milk. The Interceptor and his cohorts burst out laughing at this. Chocolate milk! Oh, that's funny! Oh, look at the little baby. Does he need his milk? Maybe he needs a bedtime story, too. That person you might know glares at them all, severely unimpressed. Very funny, you immature babies. How ironic. Clearly you aren't aware of the concept of being teetotal, but... Teetotal? That sounds like something a golfer says when he wants to know his score. What a loser! The villains chuckle again. Okay, maybe I should get straight to the point. When were you last at the Wazimu alleyway? Wazimu alleyway? I haven't been there. That's where the druggies hang out. Surprised you weren't all there then. Hey, I don't do any of that sausages stuff. It's for losers. That's why your pupils are dilated. I'd say you were there quite recently. Earlier this evening, in fact. The Interceptor finishes his drink, wiping the remnants from his muzzle. What the hell are you talking about? A cub, a close friend of mine actually, died there earlier today. He was murdered. His name was Haiba. Does that mean anything to you? The Interceptor shakes his head. Nothing at all. Really? Then you wouldn't mind if you came down to the precinct to be questioned then? I haven't got time for that. What important things to do? Like kill more innocent people? The Interceptor scowls, eyes filled with anger. I have just about had enough of your sausage and nonsense. He rises to his paws, scraping his chair against the floor. Come on, boys! Let's show him a real men fight! That person you might know calmly finishes his chocolate milk, as the villains slowly close in on him. This should be interesting. The Haiba Mystery, Part 3. Scene 1. Bar. The thugs close in on that person you might know, ready to tear him apart. I hope you like sausages, cause I'm gonna fry you into one! Let's get him! The Interceptor, Hago, and Scar all pounce on that person you might know. That person you might know steps to the side, sending the villains crashing right into the floor. They lay there in a heap, groaning. That little creep! The Interceptor launches a fist at that person you might know, only for him to duck. His fist collides with the wall. Crack! He hops about on the ground in pain. Why, you little... Hago hurls his staff at that person you might know, only for it to bounce off the table and hit him right back in the face. He's unconscious before he hits the ground. My blonde characteristics will defeat you! Scar steps toward that person you might know, only to slip on a random banana peel and trip over. That was easy. That person you might know dusts off his hands, regarding the fallen criminals. Never mess with a man and his chocolate milk. He calmly steps over the bodies, leaving the bar. Just what was in that chocolate milk? Scar sticks a claw up in the air. I'll have what he's having. Scene 2, outside Simba's house. Ding dong. That person you might know steps back from the door, having rung the bell. He waits a few seconds before Simba answers.
What do you want?
You ate all that pasta yet? Scene 3, kitchen. That person you might know and Simba are sitting facing each other at a dining table. Simba's wife Nala is placing a few plates of cheesy pasta on the table.
I must say, it's very nice to have you visit that person you might know. It's been years.
I was out of town.
So you keep saying. What have you been up to? Oh, leave him alone, Simba. You know him. He likes to keep to himself.
It's better that way. That person you might know frowns at the sight of the cheesy pasta, bad memories returning to him. He shakes his head, though, and proceeds to eat it with a fork.
So why did you come here?
That person you might know finishes a mouthful of the pasta, glancing up at Simba. I want some help.
Help? Help with what?
The case. Simba rolls his eyes.
I told you that it wasn't your case. Boy, stop fighting. I thought you two used to be partners. Yeah, until he left.
We can start again where we left off. I want to get to the bottom of this mystery. It means a lot to me.
What case is this?
A friend of mine was murdered earlier today.
Really? I'm sorry, that's so sad. What was his name?
Haiba. Nala pauses as she sits down at the table.
Haiba? Can't say I've heard the name before. Were you close?
He meant a lot to me. Like I was a part of him, and he was a part of me.
Well, can't do anything about it now.
Nala shoots Simba a disapproving stare.
Simba, you really should help him. He's obviously distressed.
I've got a lead. I visited the Interceptor.
The Interceptor? That pathetic excuse for a criminal?
Yeah, I think he was buying drugs on the Zazu alleyway, where Haiba was shot. I know there's a connection somewhere. He bumps his fist on the table in slight frustration. I just wish I knew who the dealer was. Simba glances aside somewhat awkwardly.
Well, if you know where to look.
Scene 4. Outside abandoned warehouse. That person you might know and Simba are standing outside a shabby-looking warehouse, paint peeling from the rusty metal walls. The two are facing a wooden door hanging limply from one hinge. This is it?
What were you expecting? A giant mansion filled with beautiful women and glamorous parties?
No, just something a little more secluded. I imagine somewhere underground would be an ideal place to do such business.
It doesn't matter. No one comes here anyway. It's been abandoned for years. It's quite an interesting place.
How do you know where to find it?
Simba chuckles nervously. Let's just get inside, shall we?
Simba ushers that person you might know in through the door. Scene 5. Abandoned warehouse. That person you might know looks around the interior of the warehouse, recoiling in disgust almost instantly. Jesus, that stinks! The small warehouse floor is packed with animals of all different species, scattered around the floor in various different positions. All of them look noticeably zoned out from reality. some of them giggling incessantly at one another. Psychedelic-sounding music can be heard playing in the background.
Happy now?
That person you might know takes a step forward, only for something to crunch underneath his shoe. He looks down. It's a glass syringe. He looks horrified. Oh my god.
I know. Some party, isn't it?
Not the exact word I'd use. A hornbill drunkenly stumbles past the two, stopping to take a look at them. Her pupils are noticeably dilated.
Hey, you guys here to join the party? Yeah, we're just here for a good time.
That person you might know frowns. Does your mother know you're out this late? Pori giggles.
You're funny, dude.
She saunters off. That person you might know glares at Simba. Just here for a good time? This is important work, Simba.
We can't exactly say we're police officers, can we? We're supposed to be undercover. Besides, I'm known around here. I can't draw too much attention to myself.
What do you mean you're known around here?
It's nothing, just go and find the dealer. He should be around here somewhere.
And what are you going to be doing?
Seeing if anyone else knows about Haiba. Go on, don't let me stop you.
Simba wanders away. That person you might know rolls his eyes and walks off in the opposite direction. What the hell am I doing here? That person you might know spots a wooden staircase up ahead. A small lion cub is lying at the bottom, looking in a rather frail state. As he approaches the staircase, that person you might know can't help but notice him. Hey! The cub coughs. Hey! The cub finally notices him.
Who are you?
My name is that, actually let's just call me Yo.
Yo? Funny name.
That person you might know sits down on the bottom step. What's your name? The cub coughs again, lifting a previously unseen cigarette to his mouth. He takes a mouthful of smoke. That person you might know winces, wishing he'd brought a clothes peg to prevent the putrid odor from reaching his nostrils. My name is Duni. My friends call me Shocker, though. Why do they call you Shocker? I take some shocking stuff. He takes another drag from the cigarette. This is nothing compared to what I've done. You're a bit young. It's fun. Not like I've got anything else better to do. That person you might know scowls, feeling a slight pang of sympathy. Don't you have parents? Not anymore. Left home a while ago. I can't even remember their names. I live here now. Why? It's always great here. Every day. Don Aibu always gives us the best stuff. At generous prices, too. Don Aibu? Yeah. Why, do you want me to hook you up with him? No, I think I can find him myself. That person you might know sits there in silence for a few moments. You know, you really shouldn't be doing this at your age. Who cares? Besides, I'll be dead in less than a week anyway. Dead? Yeah. Dead. The stuff finally caught up with me. I'm sick every day. I could barely smoke this joint without throwing up blood anymore. Still, I might as well make the most of it, while I can still move. Soon I'll be buried 6 feet under the ground, choking on the earth. That person you might know frowns, staring down at the ground. There's nothing he can do for this cub. I have to go now. Whatever, man. That person you might know stands up, slowly climbing the staircase. Duni takes one more puff from his joint, closing his eyes and surrendering to the euphoria. Scene 6. Office. That person you might know pushes open a door at the top of the staircase, walking through into an untidy office. A rotting wooden desk is placed in the center of the room, books and papers scattered around everywhere. Hello? A battered-looking leather chair swivels around to face that person you might know. A cub is sitting in it. He stares down the detective, frowning. Only now does that person you might know notice the 2 tough-looking lionesses standing on either side of him. Who the hell are you? Don Aibu, I presume? Aibu nods. That's me. I'm Detective That Person You Might Know. I'm investigating a recent murder in the area. No comment. Get out. That person you might know glances at the 2 lionesses. The Scavenger Sisters. Been a while since I've seen you 2. Stop eating your victims after murdering them? The scavengers growl at him. There are no murders going on around here, Detective. Just people having a good time. Oh sure, because my idea of a good time is to jab a needle full of God knows what into my skin. It's not like that. You're exploiting kids, for God's sake. There's a cub down there who's going to die in less than a week because of your stupid drugs. Aibu shrugs. They make the choice. You really are a nasty piece of work, you know that? I have nothing to do with your investigation. Now get out of here, before I get the scavengers to tear your head off. Like I believe you had nothing to do with it, although I can arrest you for plenty of other things. Drug dealing, for example. Aibu leans forward, grinning evilly. Try it! Not now. Maybe if I get my partner. Aibu laughs. You really think you could take me on with just 2 of you? I could have you two doing the hard stuff in 5 minutes flat. I think you'll find my partner's much stronger than you, both in body and in spirit. I don't think he'll surrender to any of your cheap tricks. Scene 7. Warehouse. Simba climbs over an unconscious tiger lying on the ground, walking over to the corner of the intoxicated room. He spots 2 cubs lying next to each other. One of them looks asleep. The other smiles, beckoning for Simba to join him.
Hey, Simba! Hey, Tojo, how's it going? Great, thanks! Where you been all this time? We haven't seen you around here in a while. Nothing much, just a bit of work here and there. What about you? Just hanging out with Tama. That Aibu is the best! Yours, I'll stay here. Really?
Simba speaks in a low whisper.
Is the stuff still good?
Tojo smiles, nodding.
Oh yeah, it's good. Just look at Tama.
Simba glances aside, noticing Tama lying right beside Tojo. He soon realizes she isn't asleep at all. Her eyes are open, looking incredibly wide. She seems to be in some sort of trance.
What's going on with her?
Tojo's smile widens.
She's tripping hard style. Don Ivy's got this new one in.
Simba's interest seems piqued.
Oh yeah? What is it? Apparently it's excreted by some kind of creature in some jungle far away from here. It's the best stuff ever. I had to steal so I could buy some of it. Want to try some? Well, I probably shouldn't. I tried to quit. Come on, won't hurt. Leave a little.
Tojo pulls a small plastic bag out from behind his back, emptying its contents onto the ground. A small pile of white powder is piled up. Tojo raises his eyebrows at Simba.
Go on, try some.
Simba thinks for a moment, hesitating, but then he gives in and snorts some of the powder up his nose.
Oh, wow.
Simba, feeling lightheaded, falls onto his back. Tojo chuckles as Simba's pupils dilate, watching him drift off into a high.
Told you it was good.
The Haiba Mystery, Part 4. Scene 1. Office. Aibu is staring unconvincingly at that person you might know. You can't win, detective. This is my kingdom, and I rule over it. That person you might know laughs sarcastically. Oh really? Well, King Crack, just how big do you think this kingdom is going to be? Bigger than you think. One day every kid in the world is going to be on drugs because of me. Not if I have anything to do about it, sicko. You couldn't possibly hope to bring down my empire, detective. It spans the entirety of this city. I control this place and everyone in it. As soon as you leave this building, there'll be a price on your head so high that the entire population will come after you. That person you might know looks severely unfazed. Pretty cowardly, aren't you? Aibu's jaw twitches, but that person you might know continues. All this to cover up your crime? It's just a little bit too elaborate. I have nothing to do with whoever the hell got bumped off. I just want a rat like you dead and buried. That person you might know folds his arms. What does the name Haiba mean to you? Haiba? Sounds like the name of one of my customers. That person you might know's eyes widen. For the first time, he looks alarmed. What? Yeah, bought a big bang of sumu. Paid good money for it, too. He must have been tripping all night after that. What the hell is sumu? Aibu chuckles. My latest creation. I named it myself. It gets you higher than anything. In fact, it feels like paradise. One little snort and you'll forget all about all your troubles. You should try it sometime. I would rather gouge out my eyes with a rusty bread knife. Aibu scoffs. Baby. So what does it do? A drug like that is bound to have side effects. Well, it is known to be rather addictive. Once you start, you can't ever stop, no matter how hard you try. He points downward with a claw. All those little chickens down there, they've all tried it, and they'll do anything to keep using it. Beg, borrow, steal, whatever. It takes over their minds. No one's ever failed to pay up yet. I doubt that's just it. Aibu chuckles. Well, of course not. The substance boils your brain over time. I mean, such intense highs have never been experienced by man or beast before. Sooner or later, you're going to have that one trip that you never wake up from. At least it's a happy ending. Your last words are, ha 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 ha, and you end up with a smile on your face. How many people have died from it? Hard to say. I've lost count. The kids go crazy for it, though. There are always those teenagers looking to try something new. I'm all too happy to give it to them. After all, they make me rich! You're a monster. No, I'm a businessman. And a very effective one, too. And Haiba bought from you? Yeah, he must have been into it. I don't believe you. Fine, then don't. Just be ignorant of the truth. That person you might know points at him. This ends tonight. Oh, really? Are you gonna tear down this whole city for the sake of one murder case, detective? Yes. Yes, I will. And there's nothing you can do to stop me. Aibu smiles. Well, we'll soon see about that. Scene 2. Warehouse. That person you might know is thrown out of the office by the scavengers, sending him tumbling down the wooden staircase until he lands in a heap at the bottom. The sound of the door slamming shut is heard. Oh, that hurt. That person you might know climbs to his feet, dusting off his trench coat and adjusting his fedora. He tries to compose himself. He glances aside, spotting Duni lying unconscious on the ground a few feet away from where he was sitting earlier. That person you might know places 2 fingers against his neck. No pulse. Damn it! He walks into the center of the room, surrounded by the intoxicated animals. He spots the hornbill from before to the side of the room, speaking to a nervous-looking male of the same species. Come on, Zazu, just try some! Zazu shuffles nervously on the stone floor. Oh, I don't know, Pori. These kind of substances can be detrimental to your health. Pori gestures with a wing to a small pile of sumu on the floor. She looks more out of it than ever, slurring her words. Come on, Zazu, it's not gonna hurt. That's just lies made up by the news. You'll be flying higher than usual if you take some. Go on, breathe some excitement into your life. Well, I suppose a little bit can't hurt. Zazu leans down and snorts some of the powder. His eyes flicker as he slowly falls onto his back. Oh, I say! That person you might know scowls as the hornbill surrenders to the high. Jesus! His eyes scan the room, searching for any sign of his partner. Come on, Simba, where the hell are you? He finally spots the golden-furred cub lying in the corner of the room. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. That person you might know hops over an unconscious tiger lying in his way, sprinting over to Simba. Simba, what the hell are you doing? That person you might know inspects Simba. The cub is lying on his back, eyes as wide as dinner plates and a goofy smile on his face. He looks totally detached from reality. Simba! Simba! Simba giggles. The oranges and hyenas are copulating. He's in the zone! That person you might know scowls, his eyes locking onto a cub sitting beside him. He's smoking a joint. Did you give him this? Yeah, dude, his brain is sizzling right now. Simba is totally the best. Enjoying him too is always good to relax from the high, though. The stuff you see is pretty intense. That person you might know notices the female cub lying beside Tojo. She looks the same as Simba, although noticeably less responsive. What's up with her? Tojo shrugs, taking a drag from his joint. I don't know. She's been like that for a few hours, though. She must be tripping mega hard style. God, this is sick. That person you might know shakes Simba. Simba, wake up! He's not gonna wake up until it's all over. Just leave him, man. Sit down. You want a joint? Shut up, you junkie! He slaps Simba across the face, only inciting a few light giggles. That person you might know glares at Tojo. Why the hell did he take this stuff? Simba used to come here all the time, dude. We used to get up some pretty wild stuff. The meth always kept things exciting. Then he disappeared to work or something like that. Haven't seen him until now. He was doing drugs before this? All the time, man. We used to get so high together. That person you might know stares straight ahead. I gotta get out of here. That person you might know rushes away. Chicken! Tojo drops his joint to the floor just as Tama starts coughing. Tama? Scene 3. Outside Simba's house. That person you might know storms up to the front of Simba's house, ringing the doorbell. Come on, come on, come on. Nala opens the front door, staring in confusion at that person you might know. I need to talk to you. Scene 4. Warehouse. Simba's eyes slowly recede to their normal size. He stares up at the sky, remembering the intense high that he has just experienced. Wow, my brain's on fire! Suddenly he hears the sound of crying from nearby. Huh? Simba turns his head to the side, spotting Tojo hunched over Tama. Tama hasn't moved from her original spot. She's throwing up, choking on her own vomit. Tojo, what's going on? I don't know, she just started puking! Well, help her then! But I don't know what to do! Tama starts gagging, her throat clogged with vomit. There's nothing she can do to prevent this. She's still stuck in the high. Tojo looks desperate. Come on, Tama, stay with me! Tojo cradles her gently, tears streaming down his cheeks. Tama's body suddenly goes limp, her lungs devoid of air. She's dead. Oh, God! Tojo starts to sob. Simba can only stare. No, Tama, no! He cries into her scruffy fur, heartbroken.
What am I gonna do without her?
Simba says nothing. Instead, he quietly extricates himself from the scene, heading for the warehouse door. Tojo is left with only the dead body of his girlfriend for company. He trembles.
I can't live like this. I can't. I have to be with her.
His eyes fall upon the pile of sumu on the floor. He reaches out with a paw and snorts almost half of it up his nose. It isn't long before he's totally unconscious, knowing fully well that he won't ever be waking up again. The two lovers die in each other's arms. Scene 5. Kitchen. That person you might know and Nala are sitting opposite each other at the dining table.
What do you want, that person you might know? I thought you were with Simba.
That person you might know narrows his eyes at her. Did you know your husband was on drugs? Nala just stares at him for a moment, and then sighs.
We tried to put it behind us.
What? You actually knew?
He was honest with me. He said he was getting help for it.
How long have you known for?
Since we were together. I didn't know whether I could be with a drug user at first. I loved him. Did you only just find out?
Yeah, he's still on drugs. Nala looks shocked.
What? He told me he quit.
And you were dumb enough to believe him. I always thought there was something up with that guy. Nala lets out a sob, burying her face in her paws.
I thought all of this was over. I trusted him.
I suggest a divorce if I were you.
This is horrible.
That person you might know stands up, tucking the chair underneath the table. I have to go. Work to do. That person you might know starts for the doorway.
What did he mean to you?
He stops.
Haiba, what did he mean to you?
That person you might know turns around, leaning against the wall. Purpose.
What?
He gave me purpose. Aibu was always a happy guy. He never stopped smiling. He was always joking around. He was just Haiba. And it made me feel better about myself, like I had something worth living for. He sighs, frowning. But not now. Now he's gone, and all I have is this, trying to work out what happened. It's like someone's written us a story, and I just have to do the ending. Nala remains silent for a few moments, but then she speaks the question that's been on her mind.
You loved him, didn't you?
That person you might know doesn't answer. He leaves the kitchen. Nala is left sitting there on her own, lost in her thoughts. Scene 6. Alleyway. The alleyway is now empty. Haiba's body has been taken away. It's like nothing ever happened there. That person you might know is standing in the middle, rain splashing down all around him. Come on, Haiba, give me a clue. He kneels down, placing a hand against the concrete where his body once lay. Give me something. Anything. Sighing deeply, that person you might know stands up. He buries his hands in his pockets, looking upwards. And then he sees someone.
You shouldn't have come back.
That person you might know's eyes widened in horror. It's you! The Haiba Mystery, Part 5. Scene 1. Alleyway. That person you might know stares in horror. It was you! Simba is standing there.
I told you not to come back here. I warned you.
The cub glares at him. You killed him, didn't you?
I hoped you would never find out. It didn't have to come to this. I like you, that person you might know, but you've seen too much now.
Why did you do it? I knew there was something shady going on as soon as I found out about your drug addiction. Simba smirks.
Heh, so you knew.
Yeah, I found you tripping out with that loser cub and that junky girlfriend of his. Simba scowls.
Show some respect, she's dead now.
Why should I? You didn't when you murdered Haiba. Simba chuckles, glancing aside.
I had to do it. You don't understand.
Then make me understand, because I'm about 10 seconds away from putting a bullet in your brain.
Don't be so melodramatic. You won't kill me. Not yet, at least.
You said you didn't even know him. You lied, straight to my face. His face twists in anger.
Okay, so I knew him. Not much, though. Aside from the important things, of course, like what caused me to kill him.
He was the nicest person alive. He did nothing to deserve this.
Oh, you think? He used to buy drugs.
Yeah, for you. Simba looks dumbstruck.
What?
A big bag of sumu. You sent him out there to get it. Threatened him, I imagine. Not to fuel your habit, you didn't get back on the drugs until later, but simply to get him to the warehouse. Simba stands there, motionless. That person you might know continues. And then you stabbed him with a metal pole as soon as he came out. You said no one ever goes there.
It would be the perfect place to commit a crime, especially a murder. Not like Don Aibu's ever gonna turn up his nose at that. He kills kids for breakfast.
Simba looks speechless.
But you can't.
The one thing I don't understand, of course, is why. Why would you want to kill Haiba, the loveliest being on earth, and you finished him off? Why?
She told me. She said she couldn't hide it any longer. Said she had to tell me.
What are you talking about?
Nala, she...
That person you might know grits his teeth.
Tell me.
She slept with Haiba.
That person you might know looks stunned.
What?
You heard me. She slept with Haiba.
But...
Oh, they knew each other from years ago. She told me they were just friends at first. Then one night, while she was out, she had a bit too much to drink. I know he forced himself on her. That's when it happened.
You can't know that for sure.
A lover knows it in his heart.
But you can't. For all you know, she could have forced herself on him and
Shut up!
Simba pounds the ground in fury.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
That person you might know takes a step back in quiet shock.
That drug causes a lot more than addiction.
Shut up!
Panting with rage, Simba points at that person you might know with a shaky claw.
You don't understand. I thought she loved me. She should only have loved me, not that rat!
Calm down, you idiot. That drug's amplifying your anger.
Shut your mouth, I said. He had to die. He deserved it. I rammed that pole through his chest and I loved every second of it. Every second!
So you killed him out of revenge. How petty.
Felt good. I liked it.
You could have been a good cop, Simba, if you didn't throw your life down the drain.
I'm 10 times better than you.
Oh, shut up. Face it, Simba. You're done. You've admitted to the crime.
It's Don Aibu's word against yours. This entire police force is corrupt.
You think they're gonna believe you when he slips them a nice wad of cash or a few bags of sumu? You'll be in jail much quicker than me.
So what happens to you?
I think I'll become one of his dealers. I can get paid in Zumu then. I don't need anything else.
That person you might know raises an eyebrow. Not even Nola? Simba scowls.
Just like you, she can't be trusted. She'll be next. Why should I show her mercy? Why should I show anyone mercy?
It's that drug. It's making you even worse.
I know what I'm doing.
He glances over that person you might know's shoulder, smiling.
Isn't that right, Don Aibu?
That person you might know suddenly feels a gun being jabbed into his back.
Yeah.
That person you might know whips around to face Aibu, who is holding a pistol at him. I told you not to mess with us, detective. As I said, this is my kingdom. Simba joins Aibu by his side.
You couldn't even finish me off yourself. You had to get help to do it.
Once you're gone, this city will be under my control. It's only a matter of time before the sumu is being sold throughout the world. No one will be able to resist trying some. Every kid in the world, detective. Every kid in the world.
Until they're dead.
More lives will come into existence. That's the way the world works. As long as I'm rich and I have the power, then I'm happy.
Just shoot him already. I want to drink his blood.
Maybe somewhere more private. Come on, detective. Let's go back to the warehouse. Or, as I like to call it, the zone. It's your favorite place, isn't it? He ushers him forward with the gun. Come on. Scene 2. Warehouse. That person you might know is pushed into the warehouse by Aibu. He gapes in surprise at what he sees.
Oh, God.
The animals, who were once alive and vibrant with intoxication, are now all dead. Every single one has died the same way, choking on their own vomit in the midst of a high.
You killed them all.
Aibu grins. Free sumu, they jumped at the chance. I want to start out with a clean slate. New users will come in. The temptation will be too great. Aibu glances at the staircase at the top of which is his office. We should be allowed some privacy in my office. Let's go. Aibu storms toward the staircase, kicking aside the fallen corpse of Pori on his way.
Do as he says.
Simba shoves that person you might know forwards, and he almost ends up tripping over Zazu. But he manages to regain his footing, heading for the staircase. Scene 3. Office. Simba slams the office door shut, leaving that person you might know trapped with him and Aibu. This quest of yours was quite fruitless, detective. You should have known that it could only end in disaster for you.
Guess so.
Here you go, Simba. Aibu tosses the gun to him. Take him out yourself. I know how personal this is for you. I'll just sit back and enjoy the fireworks. Aibu sits down in his leather chair, putting his hind paws up on the desk.
I'm gonna enjoy this.
He points the pistol at that person you might know's forehead.
You never should have returned.
That person you might know looks surprisingly compliant.
Probably not.
Simba smiles.
Goodbye, that person you might know.
Simba goes to pull the trigger, just as that person you might know interrupts him.
There's just one more thing, though.
What?
Do I get a last request?
Simba thinks for a moment.
Depends what it is.
Well, you guys are always talking about how good that sumo stuff is. Mind if I try some? Might as well make the most of my last few minutes on Earth. Then you can put a bullet through my head while I'm high. What do you say?
Simba lowers the gun, looking at Aibu.
What do you think, Aibu? Should we be nice?
Aibu slowly nods. Very well. I did say Sumu gives you a happy ending. Your miserable life may actually have some excitement for once, Detective.
I suppose you're right.
Aibu reaches behind his desk and retrieves a transparent plastic bag containing a medium-sized quantity of Sumu. He throws it at that person you might know, who catches it without even looking. There you go. Knock yourself out. Literally. That person you might know calmly opens the bag.
There's one good thing about this stuff, I suppose.
Oh yeah? And what's that?
It really does blind your senses.
He throws the contents right in Aibu's face. Gah! The cub slams his forepaws against his face, blinded by the substance. What the hell? That person you might know reveals a pistol of his own from within his trench coat. He fires 2 quick shots in succession at Aibu's chest. The cub crumples to the ground, blood spurting all over the wooden floorboards.
Hey!
Simba launches himself at that person you might know, only for him to turn around quickly and shoot him right through the head. The cub's brains splatter against the wall, creating a noticeable contrast with the brown color. That person you might know lowers his gun, breathing a sigh of relief.
And that's why drugs are bad.
Scene 4. Outside warehouse. A few police cars and vans have pulled up outside the warehouse. Sirens can be heard blaring. That person you might know sits at the edge of the curb.
Hey!
Nala sits down next to that person you might know on the curb.
What are you doing down there?
Nothing. I had to call the police from the next town over to come here. I don't trust the authorities here. Far too corrupt. What about you?
I just wanted to say, thank you.
That person you might know's eyes narrow in confusion.
Huh?
Thank you. I heard about the sumo. You killed him, didn't you?
That person you might know just nods.
You made me realize my husband was too dangerous in the end.
He was a psychopath. It would have always led back to the drugs, one way or another. I knew about the affair. That's why he killed Haiba. I don't know whether I should tell you this, but you would have been next.
Nala just stares solemnly down at the ground.
I really did love him, but I guess the people can change sometimes into something horrible.
You got that right.
You never told me. Did you really love him, Haiba?
Like a brother. He meant the world to me, and all this revolved around him. A happy cub, surrounded by evil.
His eyes show sadness.
But he's gone now. There's nothing I can do now. I'm all on my own.
That person you might know stands up, adjusting his fedora.
What about all this?
The dogs will be rounded up, and everyone involved will be arrested. A happy ending. Good for you.
Will you ever come back?
There's nothing left for me here. It's time to move on. Try something new.
He takes a deep breath.
Goodbye, Nala.
That person you might know walks off to the left.
He would have been proud of you.
He stops.
I think he really did love you. More than anything.
That person you might know turns around one last time. He smiles.
That sounds like him.
And so the detective walks off into the sunset, disappearing into the morning sunrise. The end.